Greetings, customizers. Now that we're getting this project under control, we're going to carry on with the next new technique. To all my subscribers, I want to say thank you very much, and if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to Talking Hands Customs. In this episode, we are going to discuss canopies. Now, until this point, we've done a couple of projects that have had clear parts on them that we've taped off to protect. In this case, we're actually looking to change the color of the canopy. Now, you can do this for a couple of different projects. The first one being, if you wanted to somehow make this look armored, then you can just spray it with a flat color and be done with it. But the other thing that we can do is tint the glass, or the plastic. It looks like glass. And in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to employ clear paints. I like to use Tamiya's brand, but other companies make them as well. And they can be brushed on and they can be airbrushed on, etc., etc. Some of these even come in spray cans. So the main consideration is avoiding streaks. And in order to do that, well, we got to do a couple of things. In the first case, what I did was I wiped this canopy down with rubbing alcohol and I let it air dry. What that does is it gets rid of grease and all that stuff on the canopy itself, and now I'm trying not to touch the parts itself with my bare fingers. The second consideration is how we apply it. I've done it with brush before, usually on smaller parts than this, and if you're disciplined in your brush approach, keeping your brush moist and working the paint over the whole canopy as evenly as you can get good results. This is a strength of the airbrush, and the trick is to not make this runny. The reason being is that when you paint clear paint on anything, the more you layer it, the darker it gets. And that's not to say it will become opaque or solid, but if you don't have even coverage, you will see striations in your paint application. And we're looking for a balanced coat on this. The next thing we got to wonder is whether or not we're going to paint the outside of the canopy or the inside of the canopy. Can you do both? Also a possibility. In this case, we talked about at the beginning what we'll have to do. I was thinking about doing the inside to protect it, but quite honestly, these support spars that you see here, if I just did the inside of the canopy, it would look weird because you would still see the clear part of it on the outside, and I think that would provide an effect that I'm not looking for. So I'm going to do the outside of this. So the second the second of 25 considerations. The next thing that we're going to talk about is clear coating. If you have a canopy, and maybe you've heard about this stuff before, but this is floor polish. If you've never seen it before, it's changed names over the years, which is why they still have this logo on it. It used to be called Future Floor Polish. Now it's Pledge Tile and Vinyl Floor Finish. Bottom line, it's a clear acrylic floor product. And you can brush it and you can airbrush it directly from the bottle. You don't need to thin it. In order to clean out your airbrush, though, all you have to use is Windex, which is great because it saves some of your more expensive hobby cleaners like your airbrush cleaner or whatnot. So this is what we're going to protect the outer layer of paint with. If you're not painting your parts and you want to make them just a little bit more shiny, a little bit more clear, model builders have been using this for years to dip their canopies and their glass parts in to make them super shiny and clear. So if you want to step up your game a bit, feel free to try this out. I recommend that if you're not going for a specific look beyond the toy look, that maybe avoid using, I shouldn't say avoid using this, maybe skip this step, but in this case, because we're tinting the canopy, I want to have it protected, to protect from dents and dings and all that stuff. And this stuff is actually quite strong when it's finished. If you're wondering why I don't use a gloss clear coat, they're not designed to go over clear parts, whereas this stuff works like a charm. There may be other products out there. I urge you to check online and see what you can find, but I've been using this for over 10 years now, and I have rarely a complaint with it. It is relatively thick. You can see the viscosity of it as I shake the bottle here. So you do have to worry about pooling and stuff, but the great news is that if you use this on a canopy and you don't like the results, then you can actually spray Windex on the canopy and this will dissolve and actually remove it. It's almost like a paint stripper, if you will. And I have done it in the past at least once where I've tinted something, put Future on it, didn't like it, and the Windex actually removed everything, which isn't a bad thing either. You just have to start from scratch, and that may be a good thing depending on how messy your application got. So we will be using this product to clear coat the canopy when we're done. Now, do I clear coat all my canopies like that just to make them look nice for display? No. But in this case, like I said, we're going to be tinting this canopy, so we are going to indeed do that. There are other colors available as well. You get clear blue, red, green, orange, yellow. There's a color by Tamiya called Smoke, and that's to tint something like you would like your sunglasses or like a car window or something like that. And you can mix these colors together. So I've tinted things clear purple by mixing red and blue together. So the same color mixing principles still apply. You don't have to use these individually. So without further ado, let's get set up and begin our application. Get the canopy there, clear there. You thin the clear parts with the same thinner. So in this case, I try not to mess around and use the proprietary thinner. In this case, Tamiya X20A acrylic thinner. Get the old mask on. You also want to make sure your airbrush is really clean when you do this to avoid contaminating the clear paint. And there you have it. That's all there is to it. So you saw my application technique there where I was going over and making sure that each line overlapped slightly. If you couldn't see that, that's what I was doing. And that I tried to give it a good balance of color throughout. Now you can see that the canopy itself is now just a little bit, let's call it foggy, if you will, because we've applied a paint on there that doesn't have the same sheen as the canopy, right? Anything that's smooth would be, let's call it optically clear and like that. And you saw that I worked on the hinge a little bit too, just from the inside. And that's just that if you saw it from a certain angle with the canopy open, that you would still see the blue part as if the whole part was made out of tinted blue plastic. I'm not going to do the inside, but as you can see here, by doing the outside of the canopy, those two support spars there look like they're blue as well. And that's part of the illusion. So what's going to happen after this, once this has had a chance to dry, is I will go over it with Future, and you'll see that process, and then we'll look at the final product as it is clear coated. So we don't want to touch this right now. I'm actually going to take this whole plate and lift it over to the side while I work on other parts of the project. But those are clear paints. If I had kept going, it would have gotten thicker and thicker, but in this case, we're where we want to be. So now we have a blue canopy, which will match our color scheme. So let's let this dry and come on back and we'll do the Future floor polish. Okay, now we're ready for the Future floor polish application. Something I want to show you here is that with the paint now dried, you can see that it's quite good coverage. And if you open if we were to look at it like this, if we were looking into the cockpit with an open canopy, you can see that those blue support spars actually look like they're blue as well. Only from a couple of angles do they reveal the secret that they're not painted. The other thing being, you might be wondering is, could you tint the Future floor polish with the clear paint and do two steps at once? I'll say a hard maybe, because I've had mixed results doing both, and I found that it takes a fair bit of tinting to do that. So I like doing it in two separate steps, just because you're dealing with one nature of product at a time. You're dealing with paint first, and then you're dealing with the Future floor polish afterwards. So like I said, the Future floor polish can go straight from the airbrush, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm just going to get that set up right now. There we go. And the nice thing about Future floor polish is it says it has a clean scent. It actually smells like apples. And who doesn't like apples? So just a little bit here, or a lot. And there we go. With all the fumes that these hobby products create, at least Future floor polish smells actually nice. Alright, so that's set up. I'm just going to get my mask on here and we'll carry on. So the same thing with the Future floor polish. It comes out very thickly, very quickly. So we want to be very judicious and cautious, not cautious, but conscientious of our application. And there it is. You saw a very light application, and you can already see how much clearer the canopy's become. The blue paint made it a little bit foggy and hard to see through, but the future floor polish has done its work and actually made the canopy see through again while still maintaining that blue tint. It's really fantastic. And you can use future floor polish for a number of applications aside from polishing your floors. You can actually also use it as a clear coat. And it goes on very nicely. The one consideration is that while it's wet, this stuff is a dust magnet. So if you want to keep your projects perfectly clear without any flotsam on them, I recommend putting them under either a big piece of Tupperware or whatever, just to keep any dust from falling onto it. And I'm going to do that shortly when we're done talking. So there's the canopy there. This stuff is going to dry. If you want to and you find that maybe the application's a little splotchy, just go over and do it again. And if you don't like your application, then by all means hit it with Windex and start again. And be prepared for the Windex to potentially remove the blue or whatever color you're using paint, in which case go all the way, bring the canopy back to its original form and start again. It's not a big deal. This was all done in about 5 minutes worth of labor, all said and done. And there you have it. So we're going to call this episode here because I wanted to show you just the canopy on its own. And don't worry, in the next episode coming up, there will be a light mock-up so you can see what this is all starting to look like coming together, seeing as how it's been such a roller coaster of problems and victories. So what I'll say for now is thank you for joining me. To all my subscribers, thanks again very much. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. So until next time, be safe and have fun.